There are two things that I think about quite often and regularly, and they are how the heck am I going to cope with this going on in my life at that moment? And the other thing, what are the signs of an obsessive personality? Because sometimes I think I might have an obsessive personality. So let's start with coping mechanisms. I don't think I've ever in my life been taught healthy and proper ways to cope with life stresses, which is something that I hope and pray to guide and help my kids with. To deal with things that happen in your life in a as calm as possible way, but also very important, a healthy way. My biggest fear is always to let loose and lose control of who I am and what I do. So obviously, after my dad's death, my coping mechanism was definitely throwing myself into this Pilates course because I have already signed up for this course, paid for it before he passed away, literally like a week before he passed away. So in my mind, I was like, I'm going through so much at the moment. I need to distract myself. And that was to me the best way. And I did it, and it really helped me so much. And I think it was a lot more healing than I realized. To a point where I think that my current like hang-ups or internal fights might be from long before my dad's death, which is very interesting when I sit and think about it. So yes, after he passed away, I threw myself into becoming a Pilates instructor, which, if you think about it, was a healthy coping mechanism because it involves movement. And we all know how important movement is for like mental, emotional, and all being health and wellness. So that's when the little alarm clock starts going off in my head. Are you a little bit obsessive? Because I have realized when I start something, I really start something and I commit to a point where it will end in burnout, which is what happened 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. I committed to filming online workouts, pre-recorded workouts for a program that I was dying to do. And in all honesty, I was doing that because in my mind, everyone is doing that. And I was desperate and I just wanted to be someone who I'm not. And it got to a point where I was obsessively, even on our holiday, you guys, and I think I drove everyone mad. But even on our holiday, I had to commit to film a pre-recorded workout, or I felt like firstly I was disappointing the few subscribers that I had, lucky enough, but that I'm also going to fail myself. And like I always say with everything in life, too much of a good thing is not healthy. Whether it's movement or food. You guys, if you have to live off of broccoli for the rest of your life, other parts of your life will start falling apart, whether it's health-wise, physical or emotionally. Same with moving and exercising. Too much of it is not good. And especially because I had a purpose and a reason for moving. So I had the stress of getting workouts out and recorded. And I had a stress of trying to get people to subscribe and like join me on this whole journey. And my body just, with the stress, mental stress, started, my physical body started started disappointing me to a point where I couldn't do anything anymore. And I think that was very frustrating to me because, I mean, we've got so much pressure on us from the outside world where if you actually go sit and think about it, how ridiculous does it sound that I'm putting pressure on myself because of people who look at me through a screen, who don't know me personally. I'm making them feel bad about myself and make me feel like I'm failing at life. So, yes. And I mean, that's just a small portion of stuff that I'm thinking of. And I've noticed, depending on what life stresses I have going on in the moment, I tend to reach towards different coping mechanisms. It's when I feel pressure from doom scrolling too much, I start falling into the habit of, oh, what can I do that everyone else is doing? Let me jump on that bandwagon, especially with all these trending reels and stuff. Do you guys know how many saved reels and audio or sounds I've got on my Instagram of stuff that I still want to record? It's ridiculous. And you know what? I know I'm never going to do it, but it's sitting there mocking me for not doing it. And the reason I know I'm not going to do it is because that's not actually who I am. And yes, I know sometimes you have to do stuff that you don't like or don't want to do. But in all honesty, in today's world, wouldn't you rather see the true version of someone than this false online version? And I think that's why I also don't like doing my own social media, because it overwhelms me and it freaks me out. I tried it for about 4 months and I got my amazing team back because I just couldn't commit to it. I was freaking out about not posting enough times a week or not sharing enough details about my life or not doing X, not doing Y, not doing Z. And what if people will think this about me? What if they say that about me? You guys, life is stressful enough. Why are we adding to it? And we need to find a healthy balance when we are dealing with things to cope with everything and anything going on in our lives. My ideal coping mechanism or way of coping would be to move regularly, which I've been trying to do, even if it's just 15 minutes a day, you guys. You don't need a lot. Movement is key. We all know that. If I can get one healthy meal a day into my body, that would make me happy. I know ideally it would be, especially for my kids, where I do not pack biscuits or sweetie in their lunch boxes. But when you feel so overwhelmed with everything around you, isn't the most important part your child being fed? I mean, I was feeling pressure, and not just from people online. People would come up to me and tell me to my face that I was failing my children because I was an exclusive pumper. after giving birth. You guys, like, what? Come on. We need to do better, you guys. We really need to do better as a society. And I'm going off track again and off topic, but it just popped into my head and I wanted to discuss that with you guys. But what would be the ideal way of coping? I would love to, like I said, move, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. Journal. I would love to start journaling, you guys. I've tried. I've started. I think it lasted about 2 weeks and it got so boring to me that I would just throw in the towel. Because no, I don't find. And if anyone has a fun way of keeping up with journaling, please share it with me because I would love to start journaling. I'm trying to get more into my religion and strengthen my relationship with God. So I'm trying to read the Bible. I try to do it from front to back, from the beginning. But you guys, even that overwhelms me. Reading about the Bible overwhelms me because there's so much information in there, you guys. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Bible has a lot of information. And while reading it, I feel like I don't understand anything going on. And it makes me feel dumb. I feel dumb, so I stop reading. Take a step back and just breathe. So I would ideally like to move, journal, get into my faith and religion a little more, read the Bible daily to a point where it does not overwhelm me. Have one very nutrition dense meal a day. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to eat burgers and pizzas and chocolates for the rest of the day. But I want to be sure that my one meal a day is focused on everything my body loves and needs. Okay? And then another thing is quality time with my husband and kids. But like quality time. Those 5 things would be my ideal life, you guys. And I think the perfect way to cope. Because I realized, like, for example, last year, I threw myself into reading. You guys, I read 35 books. 35 books. And it wasn't 100 pages books. It was 600 to 800 pages books. I was constantly stuck with my face glued to my Kindle screen. And you know why? Because I was escaping and running from reality. And I've noticed that with me. I cannot just balance things out in my life. It's all or nothing. If I exercise, I have to exercise to a point of exhaustion. If I read, I have to read to a point of I'm mentally tired. I can't read anymore. And I need to find a healthy way to balance out my life so that I can cope better with things happening in my life. Because it's so easy when you are going through a crazy storm and your life feels like a shit show. Excuse my language. But it's so important to find that healthy balance to cope so that you don't like avalanche yourself with only one specific thing. Spread it out a little bit every day. 1% of something good every day adds up at the end of the day, you guys. And I just want to drill it into my head. But I'm all about being honest and real. So let's just face it, I do not practice what I preach. Yes, that probably makes me a real crappy wellness expert. I do not practice what I preach. I wish I practiced what I preach, but you know what would also be great? if I can just clone myself, but only as my own trainer. Like, I would love to have myself come to my house and train me for private sessions. That's the ideal, because I know what a good instructor I am. But I also know that I'm terrible at self-practice. So unless I have a physical second Johlet standing right in front of me, shouting at me to do the stuff, I'm not going to do it. And that's my issues. And that's something that I have to work on, because it's a lack of discipline. I know that. But it's also because I'm not using the right coping mechanisms for everything going on in my life. So I need to, and now if I have to add discipline to that list, I'm just going to stop everything that I'm doing. It's a lack of respect to myself. I know that as well. But I also know, until I do not figure out how to balance everything that's good for me, nothing is going to change. And that's where the scary part of taking the steps to work on ourselves. We have to take those steps, you guys. You have to commit. I know it's super scary, but you have to just take that leap of faith and trust that someone is standing there to catch you as you fall. So I would just want to balance things, you guys. I want a healthy balance of things that I love in my life. And then I've obviously noticed when things and stress levels peak in my life, my obsessive traits come out in full flourish swing, like a big sunflower following the panic. And like I mentioned to you, after my dad's death, it was threw myself into Pilates. Last year, with everything going on in our lives, I threw myself into reading to a point where I am so mentally exhausted this year that I think I've only read 7 books this year, which, okay, it's not bad. It's bad. But I miss reading. But now when I pick up that book, you know, when you eat so much chocolates or have so much wine to a point of being sick that you can't face or smell it for months after, that's where I am with reading. So I'm physically forcing myself every night to read, even if it's just 5 pages, but I have to read. Also, it doesn't help that I'm busy with a non-fiction self-help book, which is making my eyes like cross-eyed by the second paragraph, because I'm trying, for the life of me, I'm trying, you guys, to stay awake, because it's a super interesting book. That's what's frustrating me. It's super interesting, but I cannot stay focused. And I mean, the moment I balance things out in my life, I know all my other health things that pop up that I've been working and complaining about will improve. It will improve. I know it will. So that's the frustrating thing. Why aren't I just then balancing the things out in my life so that my life can be better? Like, seriously. And I said to someone the other day, and I know it's like a long shot and like a reach to compare something like this, but addiction is a very real and scary thing. And I spoke to my sister about this the other day, and I said, yes, when people mention addiction, your mind immediately jumps to alcohol, drug. That's where your mind automatically, it's the first thing we we think of. But no one ever thinks of the other addictions that are hidden behind this fluffy cotton cloud. For example, for me, yes, I know it's a reach. That's what I'm saying. So don't come at me. Don't say you can't compare that. It's like comparing apples to oranges. I want you to focus on the idea of addiction. Like, to me, addiction is something that you can't go without. So, I mean, the dictionary says addiction is, if I can find the right meaning, addiction. There we go. The fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance or activity. There we have it. Activity. So obviously you get the unhealthy addictions and the healthy addictions. But, like I said before, too much of a good thing is also not good. You need to find balance. If I exercise non-stop every single day, it's going to have its side effects. If I eat chocolate every single day, it's going to have its side effects. Now, for me, my things that help me cope is not doing all of it at once. So I will either throw myself into exercising, movement, I will either throw myself into reading. So it's things that I love, passions, or I will throw myself into eating chocolates. Now, you guys, I've got a massive sweet tooth, like a major sweet tooth. I need to get that checked. It's not really good because it's chocolate, but I mean, I can go a day or two without chocolate, but then I'm like, I need chocolate, like I crave it. And to me, even though I might not have a hectic substance abuse or addiction, I definitely have an addiction to certain things in my life. This thing on my wrist, my fitness watch, another thing that popped into my head now. I actually set my step target to the lowest it can go. Because if I put a 10,000 step target on my wrist, if I go to bed at night and I only have 8,000 steps, you guys, I will not have a peaceful sleep because of that. It haunts me. It's not healthy. It's not normal. And I think I might be sharing quite a bit now, and everyone might be saying, like, oh my God, you should really go see someone. But I know I'm not alone. So it's fine. So, you guys, my point is we need to find healthy coping mechanisms, but also balance it. You need to do a little bit of lots of happy things in your life. Because that's why I said coping mechanisms and obsessive personalities go very much hand in hand. Now, I always joke when I teach and say, I think I found the perfect career path for me because it complements my bit of an obsession and obsessive personality quite nicely. Where with Pilates, we all know if you're not nice and square and parallel, your feet are not perfectly aligned, or your hips are slightly askew from your shoulders, and that it will cause other, like a ripple effect through your body. So that's why I always joke and say it's the perfect career path for me because it complements my obsessive personality. And I joke about it. But now you need to go and sit and think, to what degree is that obsessive personality healthy? And when does it border that unhealthy line? Um, of course, I know I've mentioned this before that after my dad passed away, my control issues like really peaked quite hectically. But I think that's just a safety mechanism for me. In my mind, I feel like if I can control my surrounding areas, that I will prevent myself from going through what I did again, which is not a bad thing to a degree, I think. But I mean, it can become a little bit annoying. Just ask my husband and kids. Like, I irritate myself most of the day with my annoying little, like, oh, we have to be in bed by this time. Yes, routine is great. I thrive off of routine. But if my kids are not in bed by 7:30 and they're in bed by 7:45, my brain wants to freak out. So I have a lot to work on because I think if I continue down this rabbit hole now, I'm gonna like think I'm busy going crazy and really need a lot of help. But I definitely have a bit of an obsessive personality. Like I can become obsessed with following my steps, can become obsessed with movement, can become obsessed with eating. Um, but the upside is, isn't the first step of healing and the first step of fixing something, recognizing it and acknowledging it. And even though it's scary, I'm quite excited to get some assistance in figuring out how to, in a healthy way, deal with my obsessive traits and coping mechanisms. And I would love to share it with you guys as I figure it out. Because I know there's a lot of us going through the same thing, wondering about the same things. And we just need to know that this does not control you. And if you can't see, I'm pointing to my phone. It does not control you. The people living inside there on your screen does not control you. And we need to start being better, spreading our love, sharing, supporting, and just working. Keep working on yourselves, you guys, because you can very easily, quickly lose yourself in life. And not only are you personally the one that will struggle at the end of it, but everyone around you will struggle and be affected by it. So, you guys, don't let a small block define who you are. We are, especially as parents, we are trying our best, we are giving it our best, we are working hard, we are trying to raise decent little humans. And all we can do is focus on that and show up for yourself and for your family and friends. But show up as the real you. and not the you that you think people want you to be. Because one thing I can tell you for sure, if you don't put down the boundaries, then you are going to turn into someone that you don't like. And if you don't like yourself, no one else can like you. So love yourself. And like I tell my kids every single morning in the car on the way to school, we do this little chant where we say, I am strong, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am funny. Jesus loves me. Yes, he does. Today is going to be a great day. I usually let them add their own little thing, what they feel their day is going to be. But we need to just always show up. Even if it's not at 100%, like I said to you, showing up at 1% every single day, eventually you're going to reach your 100.